Today I'm going to first discuss about switch case statements in Java, and then I'm going to go and discuss about while loop, which is a loop function in Java. Switch case statement is just like if else. It is used for conditional operation. So if we want to check something and based on that we want to perform some action, that is where we are going to use switch case statement. So for writing switch case statement, the traditional switch case statement can be written using a switch keyword, and then we can provide the variable on which we want to do a switch on. So in our case, we are doing a switch on count, and then we will have case where we'll compare the value of count with some number, and based on that we'll decide what to do. So for example, we can say case 10, and in case it is 10, we can do system.out.println, and here we can say success. And then if it is case 11, in case of case 11, we want to show it as a failure, and for that I can just copy paste this entire line, system.out.println here, and just paste it below, and I can change this text to failure. Now what is going to happen is it is not going to behave the way you would expect it to behave, and I'm going to explain why. So I'm going to run this application now, and if I run it, you see it is printing both success and failure. It's because after the case statement, the way switch case works is it will find the matching and then it will continue to go through rest of the line unless it gets a break. Whereas if we change it to 11, then it is just going to print the failure. It is not going to print the success. And the reason for that is the only value it's going to match is 11, and then it will print whatever after that. So if you want to print just success in case of 10, we have to introduce a break statement here. So we go here, we change it to 10. Now if we run this, it is going to print only success, because at this point in time what is going to happen is it is going to encounter 10, and then it is going to encounter a break after printing out. So it will come out of this switch case statement. So if we run this application now, I can see success as expected. Now if we end up giving here 15, what is going to happen is it is not going to print anything because it is not going to match any case. So for handling this kind of situation, first let me provide a break here after the case 11. For handling this kind of scenario where you have magic statement that you have written, and then finally you want to deal with everything else. So for that, we can use something called default statement. So we can say default, and in case of default, similarly, we can just copy paste this and we can say not applicable, and we just break this. Now after default, as you can understand, break is customary, it is not needed because default is the last statement anyway, so it will break out of this loop. So now if I go and run this, we will see that it is going to print out NA, and as you can see, it is showing NA. So this is the traditional way of writing switch case statement. There's a new syntax for switch case statement which we can use, and that is a little bit different. So if we want to use the new way of writing the statement, what we can do is we can say string result is equal to switch, and here after case we can do like this, and we're going to return a string response. So we'll just return success, and we don't need any break. Similarly for case 11, you can do failure, and then For default case, we can do NA. And we don't need that. So that's pretty much it. And we have to provide a semicolon here. And then finally here we can do system dot out dot println, and here we can just print the result. So at this point we'll see the exact same response as before, which is NA, because we are passing 15. And as you can see, we can see here NA as expected. So these are the two variations of switch case statement in Java. And switch case statement can be used for doing conditional operation, just like if-else condition. Though switch case statement is much more stricter and has less options, but in certain cases, switch case statement is really succinct and useful. Now, the next thing I wanted to discuss today is looping. Loop in Java is a concept where a block of code will execute continuously in a loop till the condition attached to that block is satisfied. For example, in a while loop, whatever condition we specify inside the while code, as long as this condition is satisfied, the code block inside the while loop will continuously execute again and again and again. Once the condition do not satisfy anymore, the compiler execution will come out of the code block and go into the next statement. The do while also is similar with a little bit of difference, which I'm going to talk when I get into implementing the do while loop. So let's say our count is 10 here, and we want to loop through 10 and then print the response. So what we can do is we can do while, and we have count. So we are at 10. So if we go till 1, we will be going from 10 to 1, which is 10 numbers. So we'll say if count is greater than or equal to 1, then I'm going to print out the count. So this is where we created a loop. We created a condition. We said as long as count is greater than or equal to 1, keep looping through. So the while will continuously execute anything between this curly braces and this curly braces until this condition is satisfied. Because the while loop, as you can see, it takes a Boolean value. So as long as this condition is satisfied, it is going to continue to loop through this code. Now in this case, we said count is greater than or equal to 0, but we are not doing anything with the count. And first I want to start with this, because this is going to create a behavior which we want to take care of in every scenario. And that is called an infinite loop. Given that we are not changing the value of the count and it is always at 10, it is always going to be greater than or equal to 1. So we will never come out of this while loop. So at this point, if I go ahead and compile and run this code, it is going to create an infinite loop. As you can see, it's continuously printing 10. And the only way to get out of this is using Ctrl C. Now what we want to do is, after we print out count, we want to do count minus minus. Count minus minus is equivalent to count is equal to count minus 1. Count equal to count minus 1 and count minus minus is the same thing. Similarly, count equal to count plus 1 and count plus plus is the same thing in the Java language. And for that matter, most of the programming languages. So now if we compile and run this application, we are going to see the expected behavior. And run. And you can see we are seeing the expected behavior. It started printing from 10 and then went down till 1 and then stopped at 1. So this is a very simple and very basic example of how to use while loop. And as you can see, you can use this while loop in so many other conditions. Now there is another variation of while loop, which is called do while loop. Now, the only difference between do while loop and while loop is that in do while loop, the do section will be executed first and then the while condition will be executed. That means irrespective of what we put in the while condition, the loop will execute at least once, which is not the case for just while loop. For example, if we change it to 0 and if we run this, it is not going to execute even once because the condition is not satisfied. Whereas if we just change this code and make do here and put the while condition here, and now if we compile and run, we'll see the count will be printed at least once, which is 0, and after that it will stop printing. So that is the fundamental difference between do while and the while loop, and you can see it printed it here. Now if we do it as 10, then we will see the exact same behavior as before, which is it is going to print from 10 to 1 as expected. And as you can see, it did just that. It started with 10 here and printed all the way down to 1. So this is the do while and the while loop in Java. The while loop is used for checking a condition and based on the condition, looping through the same block of code again and again till the time the condition is satisfied. So that is all I wanted to cover for today's video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to this channel and you think you are getting value out of this channel, please subscribe to this channel. And thanks so much for watching this video.